The Egghead arc is approaching its climax, and there's a character currently in a very dangerous situation. It's her. It looks like Luffy and his crew might manage to escape from Egghead safely, but that means the 5 elders will likely shift their target to someone else. I bet it's going to be Vivi. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about why Vivi getting captured could make the final chapter even more exciting. Additionally, as a native Japanese speaker, I'll provide an in-depth explanation of the latest chapters of the original series. I'll be using the more expensive Japanese color version for the analysis, so by watching until the end, you'll be able to notice the finer details of One Piece. Recently, I've also been working on manga translation and submission services to publishers. If you're interested, feel free to contact me. Now, let's dive into the secrets of Vivi and Imu. First, let me briefly summarize Vegapunk's broadcast. The conclusion is that the world is sinking into the sea. This is because the war that was halted during the Void Century, capable of altering the world's geography, will be reignited along with the revival of ancient weapons. The disappearance of the Lulusia Kingdom was likely the biggest factor that prompted Vegapunk to broadcast this message to the world. He probably realized that his invention, the Mother Flame, was stolen and used to revive the ancient weapon possessed by the celestial dragons. As a result, the sea level rose by 1 meter. Doflamingo mentioned that if the global sea level rises by 5 meters, most countries would sink into the sea. So if this scale of attack is unleashed 4 more times, the world would inevitably sink. During the Leveille, Nasujiro mentioned the need for a major purge of the world, and it seems that this is now on the verge of being executed. Of course, if the world sinks, the supply of resources from the lower world would be disrupted, and the celestial dragons would no longer be able to live in luxury. However, they would prioritize eliminating enemies that threaten their position. Their primary targets are the D-Clan, their ancient enemies, and the revolutionary movements aiming to overthrow them. Lulusia Kingdom was erased not only because of its proximity to Mariajois, but also because it successfully led a revolutionary movement. Any country inconvenient for them will continue to be erased. Vegapunk concluded his broadcast by saying, "The world will be entrusted to whoever obtains the One Piece." Luffy and his crew are aiming for Laugh Tale to obtain the One Piece, but could this lead to a confrontation with the world government? The key person in this scenario is Vivi, who I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Imu said to the 5 elders, "I want Vivi." In some translations, Imu's statement was rendered as "retrieve Vivi," but "I want Vivi" more accurately captures the nuance. The word Hoshi means want, indicating that Im personally desires Vivi rather than assigning a mission to capture her as the head of the world government. I believe Vivi will eventually be captured by the world government. This would give Luffy a straightforward motivation to fight the world government. Luffy doesn't fight to save the world. He doesn't want to be a hero. He always fights for his friends or Nakama, which unintentionally makes him a hero. However, if his Nakama are in danger, he will fight against the world to protect them. That's who Luffy is. So his primary motivation for participating in the upcoming Great War would be to rescue his Nakama Vivi. Shirahoshi becoming friends with Vivi might also play into this, as her ancient weapon's power could be used to help Luffy save Vivi. The destruction of Fishman Island might occur during their battle to rescue Vivi. But you might be thinking, isn't Vivi safe since she's being protected by Morgans? However, there's one of the 5 elders who doesn't need a ship to travel around the world. That's Marcus Mars. I suspect he might end up at the World Economy newspaper where Vivi is hiding. In Chapter 823, Igaram warned Vivi, saying, "What if a giant bird appears and kidnaps you?" The word kaicho used here often refers to the yokai Itsumade, which is the form Mars can transform into. When they first tried to assassinate the genius scientist Vegapunk, it was Saturn, the god of scientific defense, who approached him. On the other hand, Vivi is the queen of Alabasta, a country struggling with environmental issues. Alabasta even has a minister of the environment. So, it makes the most sense for Marcus, the god of the environment, to be the one to abduct Vivi. Thus, his next move would likely be to follow Imu's orders and bring Vivi back to Maria Joie. This means Igaram's ominous feeling was accurate. While Vivi is currently with the albatross, she might be abducted by the real giant bird later. Here's how I envision the scenario unfolding. Mars, transformed into a giant bird, attacks the newspaper company to kidnap Vivi. Morgans, unaware of Mars's true identity as one of the 5 elders, tries to protect her. However, Morgans is defeated by the immortal Mars, and in the process, Morgan's human form is revealed. I'm particularly curious about his true identity. Following this, Morgans would report to the world that Princess Vivi has been kidnapped by a giant bird. Upon hearing this news, Luffy and his crew would become fully aware of Vivi's peril and set out to rescue her. In the Summit War arc, Luffy went to Marineford to rescue his brother Ace. This time, I hope for a scenario where Luffy and the entire Straw Hat crew go to save their nakama, Vivi. Let's delve into the connection between Imu and Vivi. Recent chapters have subtly hinted at this link. First, let's look at the scene from Alabasta and the Room of Flowers in Chapter 1116. As mentioned in this video, there are often times when the speaking character and the depicted character in a panel don't match. Usually, there is a connection between the spoken content and the imagery. It seems that a resident of Alabasta says, "The war from 800 years ago continues? Where? No one is alive anymore." The scene then shifts to Imu. Yes, the reason this war hasn't ended is likely because someone has been alive since 800 years ago. While the will of D has been passed down through generations, the ideology of the world government doesn't need to be inherited by future generations. This is because a person with the ideology from 800 years ago still reigns at the top. This raises a significant question about Imu. Why is Imu the only one among the original 20 kings who is still alive and at the top? Given their combat abilities, the Figureland family could have easily been in that position. Personally, I think there was internal conflict among the 20 kingdoms. The hint lies in this scene from Chapter 1115. To be precise, it was the predecessor of the world government, the temporary coalition of 20 kingdoms known as the Allied Army. This is one of the most significant phrases. The 20 kingdoms were not originally deeply connected. They were merely a temporary coalition. The term Rengogun, Allied Army, has been used only once before in One Piece when forming a similar alliance. Do you remember when? It was used when the Straw Hat Pirates teamed up with the Fire Tank Pirates. In contrast, when referring to the alliance between Luffy, Law, and the Samurai of Wano, or the pirate alliance between the Beast's Pirates and Big Mom Pirates, the word Dome is used instead. While there isn't a significant difference between Dome and Rengogun, Oda-sensei seems to use these terms deliberately in the story. When the word Dome is used, the objectives are clearly aligned. Luffy's alliance aimed to defeat Kaido. On the other hand, Kaido and Big Mom's objective was to obtain the ancient weapons and conquer the One Piece. In contrast, the purpose of the impromptu Rengaogun formed during the Whole Cake Island arc was different. The Straw Hat Pirates aimed to disrupt the Tea Party and rescue Sanji's family, while the Fire Tank Pirates wanted to assassinate Big Mom. Another group that uses the term Rengogun is the Saruyama Rengogun. Cricket was searching for gold underwater to fight against the fate of being labeled as liars, while his comrades, Masira and Shoujo, were simply fans of picture books. The term Rengogun tends to be used for groups that are quickly formed and have weaker bonds. This applies to the temporary coalition of the 20 kingdoms as well. It suggests that while their common enemy was Joy Boy, each kingdom likely had its own motives for joining the coalition. In fact, it's revealed that Nefertari Lily betrayed them by releasing the poneglyphs. It's also unlikely that the kings of the remaining 19 countries equally shared power. The victorious kings from the battle against Joy Boy's group clearly sought more power. The proof lies in the fact that the current effective ruler of the world government is Imu alone. This indicates that there was a power struggle among the 19 kingdoms, and the winner was the Nerona family. It seems Imu, the king of the Nerona family, underwent the immortality surgery with the power of the Ope Ope no Mi fruit. I also find it odd that the construction of Tequila Wolf began 700 years ago. Why didn't they start building it immediately after the Void Century ended 800 years ago? This suggests there was a power struggle within the world government, which delayed the construction. There's another question. Why does Imu want Vivi? Personally, I think the answer is simple. Imagine this. If you were to become immortal and gain eternal life, your friends and loved ones would age and leave you behind. Many people would struggle with the sorrow and emptiness of losing everyone they care about while they remain. It's likely that Imu felt the same way. There's a word that expresses this kind of emptiness: Kyomu. This kanji is even used in the name of the throne he sits on. Imu probably gained immortality through the power of the Ope Ope fruit. However, he realized that everyone around him would die, leaving him alone. This is why he wants Vivi to undergo the same surgery and become his companion. In the scene where Imu is looking at a portrait, it is likely of Lily, or perhaps her memorial photo. This portrait has been there for 800 years, indicating that Imu had feelings for Lily. The presence of many flowers around the photo suggests a funeral setting. This implies that the Room of Flowers is a place to mourn Lily, who went missing and never returned. After 800 years of searching for a suitable companion, Imu finally found Vivi, who resembles his beloved Lily. He ordered the 5 elders to bring her to him. The reason he gazed lovingly at Vivi's photo without cutting it up is that she reminded him of Lily. But you might wonder, if Imu wanted a woman who resembled Lily, why didn't he choose someone from Alabasta? After all, Vivi's mother, Titi, closely resembles Vivi. If it were just about looks, he could have chosen any princess from the Alabasta royal family. So why didn't he? I think one reason is that Vivi's personality also resembles Lily's. Vivi has the courage that comes from her experiences as a pirate with the Straw Hat crew, making her braver than most princesses. Interestingly, in Japanese, the word ririshi is an adjective used to describe someone brave, linking it to the name Lily. This suggests that Lily was also a courageous woman who might have had pirate experiences like Vivi. In this scene, Pell, Chaka, and other Alabasta soldiers are seen looking at a memorial for Cobra in what seems to be an underground shrine. They probably still believe that Sabo killed Cobra. Just as they clashed with Koza's rebellion due to Crocodile's schemes, They might now hold a grudge against the Revolutionary Army because of the world government's fake news, potentially leading to a conflict. In this situation, Walpole could play a crucial role. Just as he helped an Alabasta boy understand the truth, I hope he will clear up this misunderstanding as well. What stands out here is not the jackal and falcon depicted on the mural, but rather the Tomoe symbol carved into the drums that Enel carries on his back. This might hint at a connection between Alabasta and Enel. Alabasta holds the poneglyph that reveals Pluton's location. In contrast, Enel is familiar with the structure of Maxim, which likely uses the same technology as Pluton. The conflict in this title likely refers to her. Stussy uses a polite tone when speaking to Stella, showing the importance Stella holds for her. However, when she talks to the satellites, her speech becomes slightly more informal. This contrast highlights how significant Stella is to her. This is consistent with Vegapunk's long-standing assertion that she is human, a belief he has expressed for a long time. Thus, even while talking to Edison, she felt as if she was being addressed by Stella, leading her to adopt the tone she uses with Stella. Vegapunk likely experienced a conflict between his heart for scientific exploration and his desire for peace. While apologizing for developing the Mother Flame, he also expressed pride in this invention as a scientist. This scene is reminiscent of Isho's apology. It seems Oda-sensei inserted the panels of Elisabello and Dagama just before this scene to remind readers of the Dressrosa arc. One of the joys of One Piece is interpreting Oda-sensei's intentions through the flow of the scenes. At first glance, it may seem like all the characters are placed randomly, but there is often meaning in the connections between the panels. While Vegapunk is talking about the ancient weapons, characters related to Pluton are depicted. In this scene, Vegapunk says, "Joy Boy is trying to pass it on to future generations. Why would he leave such a thing behind? Hasn't it sunk yet? Who is evil and who is justice?" This emphasis is likely because Shirahoshi is depicted here. The term "such a thing" in Japanese is used to belittle something. However, Shirahoshi, and likely the other ancient weapons, were not left behind to harm people. So, what was Joy Boy's purpose? Personally, I think the hint lies in Drum Kingdom. Hiruluk tried to heal a sick nation by making cherry blossoms bloom in a snowy country. I believe Joy Boy aimed to do something similar on a global scale. Slavery might have been rampant, causing widespread suffering. Alternatively, rapid technological advancements might have led to widespread disease. Joy Boy might have tried to realize something that would free everyone from such suffering. This would have required the power of the ancient weapons. Weapons can be used for both destruction and salvation. Kureha also used something originally meant to harm people to make cherry blossoms bloom in the snowy country. This chapter ends with a scene featuring Rayleigh. Rayleigh is angry at Vegapunk for attempting to reveal the truth about history. The reason seems to be that Vegapunk's disclosure is robbing the younger generation of their joy. Indeed, Roger started the Age of Pirates to encourage the next generation to seek the grand treasure, One Piece, and embark on adventures. As a result of these actions, they can discover the truth. Luffy isn't interested in knowing history or whether One Piece exists. He's excited about the adventure and the pursuit of treasure itself. Rayleigh prefers such innocent young people over those who seek wisdom and truth. Roger was likely that kind of pirate too. Rayleigh once said, "Confusion is what life is all about, Kizaru-kun." This chapter's title is Conflict, and it first reveals that Stussy is conflicted between her loyalty to her creator, Vegapunk, and betraying her friends. Ironically, this very conflict proves her humanity. Vegapunk also grapples with the conflict between his desire to explore science and his wish for peace. Therefore, while he apologized for developing the Mother Flame, he also expressed pride in this invention as a scientist. Ace struggled with deep internal conflict up until his last moments. He didn't want his loved ones to risk their lives for him. Yet, when he saw the Whitebeard pirates and Luffy fighting for him, he couldn't help but feel immense joy and shed tears. Ultimately, Ace found his answer, realizing that he was glad to have been born as he passed away. Borsalino faces similar inner turmoil. Throughout the Egghead arc, we see him grappling with his duty as a Marine Admiral and his friendships with Vegapunk and Sentomaru. His role often puts him in positions where he must choose between loyalty and duty. This theme of conflict and hesitation is a recurring element in One Piece. It illustrates the essence of life within the manga. Luffy, too, will likely face significant internal struggles in the future. The decisions he makes during these times will reflect the very essence of what Rayleigh mentioned. He might not reach the same conclusion as us. At the beginning of this video, I summarized the conclusion of Vegapunk's broadcast, but there was a scene in the broadcast that was cut off. This scene discusses, what is the D? Oda-sensei has said that the story of One Piece will conclude when the true nature of the One Piece is revealed. It's likely that the D is closely connected to the true nature of the One Piece. The first page shows Hachinosu, but what caught my attention more than Gin or Pearl was a line from one of the pirates. The whole world wasn't the city of gold, was it? He used the term Ogunkyo. This term hasn't been used since Jaya and Sky Island. Then, within this page, we see Cricket, who once searched for the City of Gold. Oda-sensei often uses flashbacks or related characters when past stories are relevant hints. There's also an interesting wordplay. Mont Blanc Cricket's name in Japanese is written in a way that sounds like kuri, which means chestnut. This is likely because of the chestnut on his head. Another character in One Piece uses the katakana for kuri in his name. Creek, who appears in this chapter. Creek's armor shone with gold, and Cricket was diving into the sea in search of gold. The design on Skypie's golden pillar is shaped like a chestnut. There is also a place named Kuri in One Piece. Do you remember where it is? It's one of the regions in Wano country that Odin governed. It's also known that Wano was originally called the Land of Gold. So, Kuri and gold always appear together. Even in Yamato's cover story title, gold is hinted at. Since Yamato is headed to Kuri now, she might find traces of gold there. Oda-sensei's wordplay connects the chestnut character with romance. Marron, French for chestnut, sounds like romance. In Japanese, romance doesn't only refer to love, but also a strong yearning for dreams and adventures. The chestnut character's quest for romance, which leads to gold, suggests that the wealth part of wealth, fame, power that represents One Piece is indeed gold. One pirate mentioned, "So there are treasures sleeping at the bottom of the sea all over the world." The first mention of treasure on the seabed in One Piece was by Buggy. While it hasn't been confirmed whether the Great Treasure One Piece is underwater, it's certain that immense riches remain on sunken continents. The response to the world sinking into the sea didn't just come from pirates, but also from this organization. Specifically, Helmeppo suspects that the great treasure One Piece is related to the submerged world. So, what is the unacceptable conclusion they fear? I believe it's the possibility that the justice upheld by the world government could be overturned. Until now, the Navy has labeled pirates aiming for the One Piece as evil and has continuously captured them. However, there's a growing possibility that finding the One Piece could actually lead to saving the people of the world. The current world is shaped by the ideology of the world government. In contrast, Joy Boy and the D-Clan aimed to develop the world with a different ideology. Here, Kujaku says, "Isn't it our turn now?" This implies that SWORD is an organization capable of acting independently of the world government's ideology, and they might be the ones to pursue what true justice is. There's a lot more to discuss about SWORD, so I'll delve into it in another video. After the scenes with the members of SWORD, we witnessed a sword fight. Yes, it was Zoro versus Nasujuro. Here, Zoro used his two-sword style technique, Rashomon. This is the same technique he used to cut a sea train in half when it blocked the path of the Rocket Man. By the way, Rashomon is also the title of a famous work by the early 20th century author Ryunosuke Akutagawa. The themes of this novel are the meaning of living and what is good and evil. When Zoro first used this technique, a related topic was introduced. Your sense of justice must be heavy, but I've got my own burdens to carry. This was the moment when Zoro's and T-Bone's senses of justice clashed. Now, Zoro has used this technique against Nasujuro, which seems to embody the very question Vegapunk is posing to the world. What is good and evil? By the way, this time it wasn't just Rashomon. Before that, there was the term Gokuraku Anyo added. This comes from Gokuraku Anyo Jodo, a term in Buddhism referring to a world of supreme bliss and peace, free from suffering. Jodo signifies the pure land where Buddha resides, and those born there transcend the cycle of reincarnation, living indefinitely. This concept perfectly describes Nasujuro. While not a pure, serene space, but rather a hellish one, Nasujuro comes from the space where Imu, a character symbolizing Buddha, resides. Additionally, Nasujuro seems to be immortal at the moment, appearing as a being who has transcended death. This is likely why Oda-sensei added Gokuraku Anyo to the technique Zoro used against Nasujuro. In this chapter, the five elders mentioned that the iron giant they saw was undoubtedly the one that attacked Marie-Joie 200 years ago. Even in Japanese, the expression implies that they had actually witnessed this iron giant with their own eyes. By the way, as I predicted in this video, I believe Nasujuro has reached the land of the dead, just like Brook. Therefore, the ice he wields likely has the same properties as Brook's, meaning it's the chill of the underworld. The five elders appear to have immortal bodies for some reason, and I think this is closely tied to the land of the dead. I've explained this in detail in this video, so please check it out if you're interested. The third generation Katetsu was made by Kozuki Sukiyaki, and the second generation Katetsu was made by his ancestor, Kotetsu. This suggests that the first generation Katetsu might also have been made by the Kozuki family. By the way, the 20 swords in front of the empty throne in Marie-Joie are the swords of the kings who established the world government. Among them, there is one Japanese-style sword. Most Japanese-style swords in One Piece were made in Wano country, indicating that one of the original 20 kings might have been a king or shogun from Wano. The sword Nasujuro wields is likely inherited from this king. Now, let's dive into a topic that I'm sure you're all curious about, Vegapunk's mention of Mo. Just before this, Vegapunk says, "Omae-san tachi no naka ni." which translates to among you guys. The next word is mo, and then the broadcast is cut off. Let's consider the possible implications of this mo. The sentences that come to mind first are those starting with mo as an adverb, such as musudeni, already, moshi, if, moshikashitara, perhaps, or muhitori, one more person. When mo is used as an adverb, the possibilities are endless. Personally, I think sentences like these are possible. Among you, another Joy Boy has been born. Among you, Joy Boy has already been born. Before mentioning the D-Clan, Vegapunk talked about the ancient weapon that destroyed Lulusia. This was a few days after Luffy awakened as Nika and his picture spread around. Given that Vegapunk likely saw this wanted poster, he might have realized the birth of Joy Boy. Now for the next possibility. If mo is used as a particle, it could be translated like this: among you two. Up until that point, he was talking about the Roger pirates who learned the truth of the world. This could mean he wanted to continue the discussion like this: if there is someone among you who knows the truth, change the world. These are just examples. I'm also looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Another possibility is that this mo is a noun. If Oda-sensei intentionally used mo in the title, it suggests that the noun containing mo might be significant. However, as you know, most characters in the One Piece world are written in katakana. One exception is Momohige, Peach Beard, who has been written in hiragana, but he's not a significant character worth mentioning in this broadcast. So what other words start with mo? Words like forest or algae come to mind. Both are indeed important keywords. Shirahoshi, who lives on Fishman Island, especially wishes to see a forest. She even mentioned the forest when she visited Mariajoie. In the One Piece world, besides the sun god, there seem to be gods of the earth, forest, and rain. All of these are depicted in this chapter. Sunken earth, rain pouring on the hospital, burning forest, and sun god. Regardless, Shirahoshi is guaranteed to be a key character in the upcoming story, and the forest might hold the key to the Void Century. There was undoubtedly a forest on the sunken continent as well. Another word is mo, which means algae. Yes, it's the word Sanji uses to mock Zoro. However, algae itself shouldn't be overlooked. It reminds us not only of Zoro, but also of this character, Gaimon. Gaimon, who fits in a treasure chest, appeared in a chapter where the word One Piece was frequently mentioned. If the treasure on the final island is underwater, it might be covered in algae. Gaimon is also called the guardian of the forest. It seems that forest and algae might be crucial elements in unraveling the mysteries of One Piece. By the way, these algae brothers never even met each other. Finally, I'd like to discuss one more intriguing point. Yes, it's about Blackbeard's reaction. In this scene, Blackbeard's teeth are all intact. Interestingly, the last time Blackbeard was depicted with a full set of teeth was when he initiated the death game on level 6 of Impel Down. During that time, Blackbeard's demeanor and expression were more ruthless than ever. First, let's take a look at the scene with the sinking Iron Giant. Pay attention to the emphasized parts using dots in the original version. The Iron Giant says, "You were there, Joy Boy, right?" He didn't actually see Joy Boy, but he sensed his presence. This is likely due to Nika's unique rhythm. This links back to what Atlas mentioned at the beginning of the Egghead arc. It's up to you to decide whether it exists or not. The verb iru is emphasized again, highlighting one of the key themes of the Egghead arc. the recognition of existence. Just as Luffy and the others perceived the non-existent blonde woman as if she were real, the Iron Giant recognizes the currently non-existent Joy Boy through Nika's rhythm as if he were truly there. Zunisha made a similar remark. It's as if you are there. Interestingly, when reading in Japanese, you can get a sense of the Iron Giant's personality. In previous videos, I mentioned that his speech, written in katakana, suggests a mechanical or awkward manner of speaking. While earlier we only had his sorry to go on, Chapter 1118 reveals more of his speech patterns. From a native Japanese perspective, his way of speaking seems somewhat cute and childlike. From the way they address Joy Boy, it seems Zunisha had an equal relationship with him. In contrast, the Iron Giant's speech pattern gives the impression of a junior who respects Joy Boy. Moreover, the Iron Giant's speech resembles that of a certain creature previously seen in the One Piece story. Does anyone come to mind? It's similar to the speech of the Sea Kings encountered by the Roger Pirates after reaching Laugh Tale. Although their speech isn't in katakana and doesn't have a mechanical impression, they share the characteristic of sounding a bit childlike despite their massive and mature appearance. Luffy transformed into Nika again using the power of food. This was the first time he transformed into Nika while at sea, and even the waves were influenced by his heartbeat. This brings to mind the lyrics from Binks no Sake. The waves are dancing, play the drums. Literally, Nika's drums make the waves dance. It even looks like the ships are dancing. This suggests that Nika's heartbeat doesn't just affect people and animals, but also natural objects and inanimate things, giving them freedom. Interestingly, we've seen these dancing waves once before, during the Yuta current. Coincidentally, in that scene, they said it looked like the waves were freely swimming to the rhythm of music. Brook mentioned that music could resonate with souls, and those souls can inhabit natural and inanimate objects, allowing them to move freely. Luffy's insistence on having a musician in the crew from the beginning might be because he instinctively understood the importance of music. By the way, Brook has never seen Nika's form or heard Nika's heartbeat. I'm personally excited to see how he reacts to Nika. It's clear that Nika's awakening affects other people as well. For example, Dory and Broggy are dancing to Nika's rhythm instead of putting out the fire. The fact that Kaido's body turned to rubber and Nami and the others' eyes popped out is likely due to Nika's influence. One of the main reasons Bonnie could awaken Nika's form is because Nika was present. The subtitle of this chapter is Becoming Free, and we see the warrior of liberation granting freedom to everything around him. In this chapter, Bonnie managed to transform into Nika, which seems largely due to Luffy's presence. Nika has the power to free things around him. Additionally, according to Vegapunk, Devil Fruit users are described as living beings from another dimension, making them particularly susceptible to Nika's influence. Bonnie's ability, which relies heavily on imagination, also played a role in her transformation. Her transformation didn't end there. This was because Saturn, her father's enemy, appeared right in front of her. When Bonnie realizes that Saturn has come all the way to the Great Magni, despite being exhausted, she transforms into Nika once again. While the world government has a grudge against the Buccaneer tribe, Bonnie's grudge is specifically against Saturn. Her feelings for her father and mother give her the strength to transform again. Luffy becomes his strongest when he fights for his nakama or friends. Similarly, when Bonnie fights for someone, her determination strengthens, and her devil fruit powers respond by granting her the strength she needs. Luffy probably understood just how strong Bonnie's feelings were, which is why he told her, "That's right, Bonnie, you can take him down." I love how Luffy takes on a supporting role for Bonnie's attack. When Bonnie says there must be a god, it really feels like Luffy is depicted as her guardian deity. This way, even though Bonnie doesn't have the power to defeat Saturn on her own and needs Luffy's help, she is still highlighted as the main character in the scene. It's similar to when Momo punched Kaido, or when Kobe called Alvida a ikatsu kusobaba. And after Bonnie punched Saturn, Kuma smiled. It reminded me of when Sindri, despite being a corpse, rejected Hogback's orders and smiled at Chopper's words. Even though her body was dead, it seemed like her true spirit was still there, showing her real feelings. Maybe Kuma showing up at Thriller Bark is connected to this theme, but he's already lost his sense of self and can't even have a proper conversation anymore. However, I believe there's still a chance for a conscious Kuma to travel with Bonnie. Please check out this video for more details. Yamato, Kaido's child, is shown in the cover story being pelted with stones by children in Kibi. This suggests that this cover story series might focus on how the next generation changes the era. Because Orochi's grandfather aimed for the shogun's seat and executed the daimyo, the name Kurozumi became a target of hatred. Similarly, Yamato, as Kaido's child who tormented the people of Wano, is also a target of hatred. This issue extends beyond Wano to the entire world. The theme of inheriting and not inheriting will is a crucial aspect of One Piece. This was a focus on Fishman Island. According to Fisher Tiger, passing down hatred to future generations is a ridiculous notion. Therefore, Otama, a Kurozumi descendant coexisting with the Kazuki family, might play a vital role. This theme is deeply connected to the will of D, which we will discuss later. Some readers were outraged when the Wano arc ended with Hiyori shouting, "A Kurozumi was born to burn." Indeed, this statement might seem like it perpetuates hatred for future generations. However, Oda-sensei addressed this in SBS. Additionally, Oda-sensei's love for Rakugo likely influenced this final scene. Rakugo is a traditional Japanese form of storytelling where a solo performer called a rakugoka sits on a cushion and narrates humorous or dramatic tales. Each story concludes with a punchline, known as an ochi. The ochi is the punchline at the end of the main story, often a clever or humorous wordplay. In the context of Wano's story, the entire narrative can be seen as a form of rakugo, needing a final punchline scene. The most epic scene in Wano's story is Odin's death, marked by his famous line, "A boiling Odin is only worth boiling." That's only natural because Odin is a dish that must be simmered to be eaten. If you ever come to Japan, be sure to try the Odin from a convenience store. Correspondingly, a Kurozumi was born to burn serves as the most Rakugo-like and amusing punchline. Kurozumi refers to the black charcoal left after something is burned. Just as Oden, the character, met his end by being boiled like the food Oden, Orochi met his end by being burned, turning into black charcoal. This is akin to the typical punchline, or ochi, used in Japanese Rakugo storytelling. So this was not an act of malice towards the Kurozumi, but a suitable conclusion to the overall story. Understanding this storytelling method and reading the original Japanese version is crucial to grasping the true nuance. One Piece contains many such deep meanings hidden within its narrative. In chapter 1118, Vegapunk said, "I pray that this voice reaches those who have been tormented by its reason." The word onro means tormented and is often used in manga to describe characters troubled by fate. This likely refers to individuals among the D clan who have struggled to understand or carry the legacy of their name. Luffy, Ace, and Garp don't seem to have experienced persecution for being part of the D clan, but Clover is different. His brother was killed. Another person who comes to mind is Law. He is unique among the D clan, hiding his D name and keeping it a secret. This suggests that his family felt ashamed or burdened by carrying the D name. This could be related to his origins, hinted at by his birthplace. Luffy, Dragon, and Garp are all from the Goa Kingdom. Roger is from Logetown. This means they all hail from the East Blue. Rouge and Ace are from Badarila in South Blue, and Saul is also from South Blue. The Nefertari family hails from the first half of the Grand Line. You might have noticed a pattern. Most of the D clan members were born on the eastern side of the Red Line. This area could be considered the D region. In contrast, Law and Clover's families originate from the western side of the Red Line, forming an inverse D-shaped region. Furthermore, the Kozuki family and the Mink tribe, who were allies of Joy Boy, also live on the western side in isolated nations. This implies that the western side of the Red Line was dominated by the 20 Kingdoms forces, making it dangerous for those with the D name. Thus, Law and Clover's families had to hide their D lineage to survive. Considering this, there's another potential descendant of the D clan who might have been born on the western side of the Red Line. Marshall D. Teach. While it's known he hails from the Grand Line, whether it's the first or second half remains a mystery. If he is from the New World, he too might have been tormented by his D heritage. His orphaned status might be related to his D name. Moreover, his interest in history could stem from a desire to understand the D name that shaped his unusual fate. It makes sense that he would admire Rox D. Jebeck, who also had the D initial and aspired to become the king of the world. In this chapter, the name of the Iron Giant is revealed: Emeth. Actually, when you search for Emeth in Japanese, the top related word that comes up is golem. In Jewish folklore, the golem is a creature formed from inanimate matter, usually clay or mud, and brought to life through mystical means. The golem is brought to life by inscribing the Hebrew word emet on its forehead or placing a piece of parchment with a holy name inside its mouth. While one piece doesn't directly use real-world folklore, it often incorporates similar backgrounds. This suggests that Emeth might also be inanimate matter brought to life by someone. We have seen similar phenomena in One Piece, like the Klabautermann. The Going Merry, an inanimate object, repaired itself, appeared to rescue the Straw Hat crew, and even spoke directly to them. This can be attributed to the Klabautermann, a spirit that resides in a well-loved ship. Do you remember when the Klabautermann first appeared? It was after the party on Verth. This party is famous for depicting Luffy's silhouette in a way that resembles Nika. The rhythm used is the same as the one emitted by Nika. You've probably realized by now that the rhythm might have given the Going Merry a spirit, the Klabautermann. Similarly, the Iron Giant was activated by Nika's rhythm. This unique rhythm might be responsible for giving souls to inanimate objects. Vegapunk confirmed the existence of souls, and it was Nika's rhythm that awakened them. In Chapter 1120, it was revealed that Clover's full name is Claw D. Clover. I think this is a very significant discovery. Just like Goldie Roger was also known as Gold Roger, Clover can be read as Cloud Clover. I believe his surname being Cloud hints at a close connection between Ohara, Zu, and Skypia. In conclusion, I think Clover's ancestors might have been from Sky Island. First, let's focus on the city of Clau on Zu. The kanji used means capital, and the city name Clau is exactly the same as Clover's surname. Zu carries the city of Clau on its back, and Zunisha's favorite food is apples from Sky Island. Moreover, Zunisha's biological name, Naitamie no Ridazo. When you read it backwards, it becomes Dari no Eimitaina Zu, inspired by surrealist painter Salvador Dali's painting of a cosmic elephant. The contrast between the elephant's frail legs and strong back in the painting suggests that even a heavy elephant could float effortlessly in the weightlessness of space. Given this, it's possible that the giant Zunisha descended from Sky Island in some way. The name of the city, Mokomo Dukedom itself, contains the onomatopoeia mokomoko, which signifies the softness of clouds, further hinting at a connection between Zunisha and Sky Island. Interestingly, when Urouge enlarges himself, the onomatopoeia moko-moko is used. This suggests that he might have the ability to amplify his muscles like clouds, possibly from a moko-moko-nomi devil fruit. In addition, there is actually a connection between Ohara and Sky Island. According to Shaka, Ohara became the sanctuary of archaeology because archaeologists from around the world, inspired by the greatest archaeologist, Dr. Clover, gathered there. And there is a mark given to those who become scholars in Ohara. I believe this mark holds deep significance. It is clearly inspired by the umbilical cord. One of the themes of Robin's past is the relationship between mother and child, which hints at this connection. So, how does this relate to Sky Island? You might have remembered their greeting. Heso. Heso means belly button. The exact significance of this greeting is still unclear, but if Clover's ancestors originally lived in the sky and passed down the importance of the belly button through generations, it would make sense for this mark to be used as a symbol for scholars. In Japan, there's a superstition that goes, "Thunder God will take your belly button." Do you know why this superstition spread? One major reason is that when you hide your belly button, you naturally bend forward, like this. Since lightning tends to strike higher places, bending forward might make you less likely to get hit by lightning. This reflects the relationship between the people of Angel Island who greeted with Heisho and lived in fear of Enel, their absolute god. It suggests that the white berets crawling on the ground might have been deep down afraid of Enel. This idea also applies to the blue planet. The word for thunder, kaminari, can be written with different kanji to mean, "I'm a god." This is a play on words used when Enel appeared in the story. Before the celestial dragons, who are considered gods on Earth, people can do nothing but hide their belly buttons. Archaeologists bearing the umbilical cord mark were erased by the world government. Literally, the thunder god takes your belly button. There's another interesting play on words, the name Ohara. In kanji, it can be written as like this. It means stomach. It naturally includes the belly button. When Atlas told the Straw Hat crew, "Take care of Lilith," before charging at Nasujuro, let's look at how this is expressed. Reading the Japanese version makes the significance of this scene clearer. She simply referred to her as Lilith. In the previous chapter, Atlas called Lilith by her codename, Evil. This gave the impression that she was addressing her as just another one of the satellites. York also uses codenames for Lilith and Atlas, viewing them merely as satellites. However, by calling her simply Lilith at the end, Atlas wanted to emphasize that Lilith is not just another satellite, but a true comrade. By disconnecting from punk records, Atlas might have wanted to emphasize that Lilith is not just another satellite, but an individual with her own personality. Throughout this chapter, it has been repeatedly emphasized that even artificially created beings are human if they have their own emotions. While Lilith is a part of Stella's personality with her memories and knowledge, her individuality as a woman named Lilith might be more prominently depicted in the story going forward. The current world of One Piece is in a period of generational transition. In the pirate world, the old 4 emperors have fallen, and the new generation is rising. In the Navy, there's a shift from heroes of the past, like Garp and Sengoku, to younger Marines. This applies to scholars as well. Just as Robin continues the research of the scholars of Ohara, Lilith might take over the role of a genius scientist from Stella. In this chapter, the concept of voice is emphasized in many places. You can hear voices from the past, is something Clover mentioned, which echoes what Vegapunk said in his broadcast. On the last page, Vegapunk mentions, "The Roger pirates heard the purest voice from the past." In this scene, Robin was crying, likely because she had heard the phrase, "heard voices from the past" from Dr. Clover before. She was moved to tears by the nostalgia of Dr. Clover's words and by the fact that Vegapunk continued his research, carrying on Dr. Clover's legacy. Moreover, only Luffy can directly hear Emeth's voice. The contrast between Robin, who was moved to tears by Vegapunk's voice, and Luffy, who couldn't understand Emeth's voice, is fascinating. There are 2 main themes related to voice in this chapter: the voice that conveys history through the poneglyphs and the ability to hear the voice of all things. By the way, the ability to hear voices was first highlighted in the Sky Island arc. Characters like Enel and Isa could hear people's voices from afar. Priests could hear the voice of the gods. The chieftain couldn't hear the gods' voices, but could hear the voices of hard-working people. The giant bell conveyed the message, "We are here." Angels could hear the island's song. Near the end of the Sky Islands arc, Luffy conveyed to Cricket that the city of gold was in the sky. Robin also heard the voices from the past through the poneglyph and Roger's message. In this way, the theme of voice was crucial in the Skypiea arc. In this chapter, only Luffy could hear Emeth. This suggests that Emeth, like Zunisha and the Sea Kings, is a mysterious being with a will of its own. It's likely due to the voice of all things, a power Roger also possessed. Although it hasn't been officially defined yet, the voice of all things seems to be a special form of observation haki. Only certain individuals can hear the voices of Zunisha, the Sea Kings, and Emeth. These include Roger, Odin, Momonosuke, Shirahoshi, and Luffy. They all share the ability to use observation haki. It seems that special lineages like the D family and the Kozuki clan have been able to hear the voice of all things for generations. And the chapter ends with Emeth declaring that he's going to use something. What exactly is he planning to use? As mentioned earlier, one of Emeth's models is likely the golem. In the world of One Piece, even inanimate objects can have souls. Maybe, just like Enma, he also possesses the Conqueror's haki of Joy Boy. With this power of the soul, he might be able to repel even the powerful attacks of the 5 elders. However, I believe he also has a model from the robot side, Possible inspirations could be Mazinger Z or Gigantor. Mazinger Z is a robot famous for its rocket punch. In fact, Emeth attempted to use a rocket punch, although it was too rusty to activate. One of Mazinger Z's weapons is the Jet Scrander. The Scrander is an additional piece of equipment developed to allow Mazinger Z, which can't fly on its own, to soar through the sky. When Mazinger Z docks with the Scrander, it forms a cross shape, which is why it's called the Scrander Cross. Emeth also has a cross-shaped device on his back that hasn't been used yet, so it might serve as a flying unit. In contrast, Tetsujin 28 Go is a robot powered by solar energy. What Emeth might be planning to use could be a device that converts solar energy. Given that it's currently daytime on Egghead Island and Nika is nearby, it should be able to absorb solar energy. By using this energy, Emeth could enhance its body or unleash special attacks like beams. Another possibility is that Emeth could gain the ability to transform and combine, a crucial feature for robots. This would surely excite Luffy and Frankie. In Thriller Bark, the combination was incomplete because Robin refused to dock with Frankie's left hand. This robot has also lost its left hand, but it might be able to combine with something else to power up. How many of you have made it this far? I'm sorry for the gap between posts this time. Actually, I started doing weekly reviews of the latest chapters on another channel, something I hadn't been doing here. If you happen to find it, please check it out every week. And recently, my translations were featured on the Grand Line Review channel. I hadn't had much interaction with the English One Piece community before, so I'm really grateful for this introduction. Please take a look at the video. Several YouTubers have mentioned my videos before, but they were always criticisms. Since I run my own business, I understand the importance of competitive advantage. I can totally see why someone in the English market might feel threatened and want to shut out a native Japanese speaker trying to enter their space. These channels are much larger than mine, so I worried they might damage my reputation. However, it turns out more people have been watching my channel recently. Thank you so much. Honestly, I know critiquing other channels might get more impressions, but I don't want to make videos that criticize other people's theories by name. I prefer focusing on creating entertaining content rather than engaging in criticism. We've all probably faced unfair criticism in life. Responding in kind doesn't accomplish much. Plus, the anger from being criticized can fuel your efforts to improve. If you've had similar experiences, I'd love to hear how you overcame them. Sorry for going off topic. I have plenty more theories to share, so please come back to this channel soon. Don't read what I just wrote in Japanese, okay? Absolutely not.